But the new operating system is, of course, the old operating system plus large language models. Large language models, in a lot of ways, is the modern version of DirectX.
And for all the young ladies in the room, this way, you can make babies.
I always bring a bottle of whiskey.
It's okay to clap.
They need to make babies.
The new 007 game, I'm looking forward to playing it. I look a little bit like him. And we're working with so many companies, Cadence and CrowdStrike and Dassault and Palantir.
Make a baby.
If you can hire a software engineer and you could generate $9 trillion worth of productive work, why wouldn't you want to hire more software engineers? This is going to show up in our economy somehow soon.
To be fair, he didn't specify if it'd show up in the economy in a good way. A global economic crisis would also show up in the economy. NVIDIA's keynote at Computex, or GTC, has concretely stated what we've been inferring for a while now.
But ultimately, our customers, our partners, don't want to buy computers. They want to build AI factories. All of the CPUs until now were created for people. We were the users. We were the users. We were the renters. This is CPU for agents. All the CPUs of the past, we built for humans. This CPU is built for agents. And these agents are going to be using the CPUs with very little patience. There'll be a lot more agents than there are people, and then the agents are very impatient.
NVIDIA has realized that the total addressable market of humans is low.
We created CPUs for humans in the past. And humans, there are only 1 billion of us.
Now, some of you might be objecting to that, saying, technically there's 8.3 billion humans, Jensen, but he's talking about the ones who matter to him. Jensen needs to increase the TAM beyond the 1 billion relevant humans and find a way to sell billions more computers to somebody. And to do that, he's going to sell them for use by agents, as they call them, to get more than the couple 100 million PC sales per year and grow into the billions. But Jensen's also going to need something else for his AI dreams, and that is babies to feed the AI factories. The good news, Jensen Huang is just the aphrodisiac we need to make them.
Speaking of babies, and for all the young ladies in the room, this way, you can make babies. In addition to the 4 young people who got married, they need to make babies, make a baby. Speaking of babies, and then speaking of babies.
But babies require energy, and energy requires food. And Sam Altman already told us that humans inefficiently use food and energy to train for 21 years or so to eventually do work for the rich.
One of the things that is always unfair in this comparison is people talk about how much energy it takes to train an AI model relative to how much it costs a human to do one inference query. But it also takes a lot of energy to train a human. It takes like 20 years of life and all of the food you eat during that time. Probably AI has already caught up on an energy efficiency basis measured that way.
And Jensen agrees.
Because human labor needs rice, but AI labor needs electricity.
Jonathan Swift would be so proud to see his modest proposal realized, except it's the data centers eat the humans instead. But the point stands. Jensen, though, also needs energy for his data centers.
We could use more energy in Taiwan. You need energy. Energy growth.
Taiwan needs more energy.
Drill, baby, drill.
We need more energy. I think that we all recognize that. We need more land power and shell. AI is the world's best opportunity to modernize the power grid. We vilified energy for so long. President Trump sticking his neck out and taking it on the chin and helping the country realize that energy is necessary for our growth is one of the greatest things he's done right off the bat.
Jensen does have other plans for the energy shortage, though.
I also hate elevators. I hate the concept of elevators.
That's right. Elevators. Look at all these buttons. Inefficient. Pfft. Pitiful. You disgust me.
I hate the concept of elevators.
And Jensen has had a busy trip in Taiwan. When he wasn't busy vandalizing bathrooms or practicing his blue steel, Jensen was on the interview circuit and spoke about how AI wasn't actually causing layoffs.
AI is creating so many jobs. AI is creating so many new companies.
I think the narrative that connects AI to job loss, for many of the CEOs that are doing it, it is just too lazy. AI has just arrived. How is it possible they're already losing jobs?
Huang's comments follow many companies blaming AI for layoffs or AI washing their layoffs. NVIDIA GPU hoarder Meta laid off 10% of its workers to offset, quote, other investments, end quote, namely AI. Cisco cut 4,000 employees, even though it insists it will be a winner in the AI era. HP will reduce headcount by 4,000 to 6,000 people to invest in AI adoption. Atlassian cut 1,600 people to invest in AI. Block laid off 4,000 people due to gains from AI and said companies would follow suit. Even Pinterest reduced its workforce by around 15% to prioritize its resources in AI, and the list goes on. But Jensen can't be blamed for using his imagination.
There's an optimistic future that I imagine, and facts would support my imagination of that future.
And that makes sense, because to be blind to the damage caused by the AI rollout, you'd either need to have a good imagination or be drunk.
We had some scotch. I brought him some scotch.
I always bring a bottle of whiskey.
Well, you know I love whiskey.
Cheers. 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 Oh, not bad. I think we'll enjoy it. Let's finish the rest of it.
Why not both? We brought you this video with the GN store on store.gamersnexus.net. Like with our GPU Shredder shirt, which has gotten me looks all over Taipei because NVIDIA is that recognizable here. And although it once represented the paper launch of the 50 series, now it represents what we should do with AI, which is feed it into a wood chipper. Kind of like how we've fed everything into the wood chipper that is AI. In addition to these super comfortable cotton t-shirts, we also bring our coverage to you with our Gold Halo GPU VRAM pint glasses that we just restocked after months of being unavailable. And no, the irony isn't lost on us that our glassware we literally printed VRAM on was also unavailable for months. The glasses have an ultra-fine print detail, the Gold Halo, and go great with Jensen's favorite pastime.
Well, you know I love whiskey.
Our store and the products on it fund all of GN's travel because we don't accept any travel compensation, accommodations, or plane tickets. And although uncommon, we also don't accept money to visit booths at trade shows. This is possible because of your ongoing support, so if you like our independent reporting and information gathering, consider grabbing something on the GN store, like our soldering and project mats, copper-plated stainless steel mule mugs, or GPU VRAM pint glasses. If you already have our gear, we also have a donate button in the bottom left of the store page to give us the greatest cut of funding support. Thanks for your help. Now back to it. NVIDIA's Jensen Huang says that tokens and data centers equal revenue, and energy equals tokens. Therefore, energy equals revenue. They're on their path to becoming a utility company, which maybe tracks with their plans to be an infrastructure company.
That tokens are now in extraordinary demand. Because if you could do this, you're going to want to produce more of it. And because tokens are now profitable units. Tokens are now
And it's clear that the audience absolutely loved Jensen's AI speech.
What do you guys think? It's pretty amazing, right? This is NVIDIA Vera. What do you think? It's okay to clap.
NVIDIA technically had news for its keynote that we'll go over, like its plans to supplant computing for humans with computing for AI agents instead. And no, that is not hyperbole. He literally said that like a dozen times throughout the keynote. He would not stop saying that it's all about PCs for agents now. They also had news on the Vera CPU deployment and continued Vera Rubin rollout. Also, sort of news on N1 and N1X laptops that use NVIDIA CPUs, information that GN gathered independently from NVIDIA partners. NVIDIA also talked about plans for investing in what it claims will be a $150 billion investment into Taiwan, hopefully with more reliability than its investment into OpenAI. The company also announced its plan to, quote, reinvent Windows PCs for the age of personal AI, end quote, with Microsoft, which it called the, quote, World's first Windows PCs purpose-built for personal agents, end quote. Then detailed specs that exceed what the actual users typically have access to, prioritizing their so-called agents for the 128 gigabytes of memory instead. There's a lot to talk about today. So NVIDIA had sort of the pre-Computex show where Jensen went on a tour around Taipei, meeting with different business partners, eating a lot of food, eating more food, drinking a lot, and then drinking some more. But they also have their GTC event, which happens to be at the exact same time as Computex, which feels just sort of like a microcosm for what NVIDIA is doing to consumers right now. Computex, the consumer hardware show, is facing basically a hostile takeover from NVIDIA's GTC, which is happening at the exact same time.
With blackjack and hookers.
We've had to relocate. We made a grave mistake, and there was an elevator somewhat near our previous location. I could feel it in the spirit world as Jensen screamed at me through the doors. NVIDIA had some actual news at the show, and that news mostly revolved around its Vera CPU and its N1 or N1X solutions for mobile devices alongside others. Here's what Jensen had to say.
CPUs built for the age of AI. All the CPUs of the past, we built for humans. This CPU is built for agents. This is NVIDIA Vera. What do you think?
Vera's spec sheet lists 88 NVIDIA Olympus cores and 176 threads using what NVIDIA calls spatial multi-threading. It has 164 megabytes of unified L3 cache, up to 1.2 terabytes per second aggregate memory bandwidth, up to 1.5 terabytes of LPDDR5X memory for capacity, and a 250 to 450 watt TDP. Vera will utilize an NVLink chip-to-chip technology, which NVIDIA explains, stating this.
And memory coherent NVLink chip-to-chip connects GPUs directly to the fabric. Beyond GPUs, NVLink chip-to-chip can scale Vera up to multiple sockets, enabling massive bandwidth between CPUs.
Jensen also added,
it's the first one to be PCI Express Gen 6. It is also the first one to have LPDDR5 with 1.2 terabytes per second.
Explaining the decision behind 88 cores, Jensen stated,
the number of CPU cores, the number of CPUs is going to be quite high. And the reason for that is very simple. We created CPUs for humans in the past. And humans, there are only 1 billion of us. There will be billions of agents. And these agents are going to be using the CPUs with very little patience.
Jensen also stated what he described as Vera's 4 properties.
These 4 properties, instructions per clock or single-threaded performance, bandwidth per core, the total bandwidth around the chip and inside the chip, and energy efficiency defines Vera.
In NVIDIA's first-party performance comparison, the company claimed Vera, using LPDDR5X, multiplied the bandwidth per core against an unnamed x86 CPU using DDR5. NVIDIA claims Vera is, quote, now in full production, unquote, and intends to deploy the CPU in, quote, standalone Vera servers, NVIDIA Vera Rubin systems, and Vera Bluefield 4 STX AI storage platforms, end quote. Each standalone Vera server consists of 256 Vera CPUs. Maybe the big takeaway here is the extreme amount of memory capacity. This is not abnormal for NVIDIA server solutions. They've done this for a while. Actually, even the DPUs use memory. And so when you look at where does all the memory go, this is part of it. HBM's a lot of it, especially because the yields are such that if you lose one HBM die, you lose potentially multiple DRAM dies, depending on how far they're in the process. But this is where a lot of that goes, and this is also not something that can just be pulled and sold into the secondhand market later. If it's LPDDR5X soldered to a board or on a card that's not suitable for, say, your typical desktop system. But they also had other news, which was with Microsoft. I said it right that time. They'll be proud of me. NVIDIA also had news that positioned its consumer adjacent announcements, where in collaboration with Microsoft for Windows, NVIDIA unveiled its new RTX Spark. NVIDIA and its partners heavily teased the announcement, each tweeting a new era of PC, along with the coordinates of Taipei Music Center where the keynote was held. On stage, Jensen attempted to clarify the statement, stating,
40 years later, Microsoft and NVIDIA are going to reinvent the PC. This is going to be the new PC.
And we don't know what that means, but Jensen doubled down on LLMs, comparing them to DirectX.
But the new operating system is, of course, the old operating system plus large language models. Large language models, in a lot of ways, is the modern version of DirectX.
Regarding the specs, the RTX Spark will feature a Blackwell RTX GPU with 6144 CUDA cores, a claimed 1 petaflop of FP4 AI performance, as they call it, and a 20-core Gray CPU built with MediaTek, connected using NVIDIA's NVLink C2C for chip-to-chip interconnect, as well as 128 gigabytes of unified LP DDR5X for the memory. Cool. You know, I've never thought about using a car on a sidewalk, have you?
Lost in the park.
Yeah.
Not like elevators, right?
No, not like elevators. Yeah. The 6144 CUDA cores would be the same as found on an RTX 5070, but they're not going to be comparable directly. The memory arrangement is way different. The power budget is different, so it won't perform like a 5070. Jensen showed 2 RTX Spark Windows laptop models on stage. He said this.
Here it is. Of course, I got to show you the most beautiful part, which is video games. It's also the closest to our heart.
A little late for us to believe that one, but Jensen also showed off an RTX Spark desktop variant.
Connected to your whole house, connected to your laptop, connected to your display, all the cameras, your dryer, your water cooler, your water heater, your everything, whatever you want. Your security system, all connected to this, and this becomes your personal AI.
Jensen also unveiled the so-called DGX station for Windows. The system specs list a GB300 Ultra Desktop Superchip and a 72-core Grace CPU connected via NVIDIA's new NVLink C2C interconnect. Additionally, NVIDIA claims, quote, it features up to 748 gigabytes of coherent memory and up to 20 petaflops of FP4 performance, and can be paired with an NVIDIA RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell workstation GPU, end quote. Closing out the Windows announcements, Jensen clarified that NVIDIA intended on the partnership remaining long-term, stating, quote,
this is a brand new product family for us. Every single generation of architecture, we will have a desktop, a laptop, a workstation.
NVIDIA also briefly showed its N1 and N1X laptop solutions. They didn't really give detail on this. There are leaks, which I think Jensen acknowledged on stage. The company's shown these a few times over the years to press and partners, but now they are finally moving to launch it, it seems like, and here's what they said.
I have too many things in my pocket. 太多东西了. Okay, all right. This is the most amazing chip the world has ever built. This is the N1X that we built in partnership with MediaTek. I think I saw Rick earlier. This is N1X. This is a beautiful chip. This is a chip that, frankly, would take 33 years to build. And the reason for that is because 100% of NVIDIA's software stack runs here. Microsoft and NVIDIA meticulously optimized everything so that this computer literally runs everything the world has ever created, plus it now runs agents.
Some of NVIDIA's partners will have N1 and N1X laptops to show soon, if not at this event. We might be able to see some. We were hearing from a couple of NVIDIA's partners that they won't be ready to ship the N1X until closer to January 2027. I don't know if that was that specific partner or not, but this will be an ARM solution, and it really sets NVIDIA and Microsoft up to be more of sort of a closed loop. It's just shrinking that circle down a little bit to inflate it more between the two of them, where they start to block out other partners. Because now NVIDIA will do the CPU, they do the GPU, Microsoft does the slop and the garbage, and between the two of them, they have a laptop that might work better than the one that we're editing this video on, which I just bought for over $5,000, has a defective 3.5mm jack, sometimes doesn't turn on, and has at least one other problem that I can't remember now, but that's for the best because my blood pressure is high enough already. Hopefully they make something better than that. It's brand new. It's from Asus. NVIDIA didn't share specs, though, for its laptop solutions. Video Cards has published some rumored ones. Video Cards lists the N1X as a 20-core, as a 10+10 build-out using, they say, Cortex X925 and A725 cores. per video cards. It also has a 6144 CUDA core arrangement. Video cards likewise lists a 9+9 and a 40SM config, stating that, quote, both N1X chips are designed for a 45 watt to 80 watt power envelope, end quote. And rumored specs for the N1 without the X have it at 8+4 for the CPU, 7+3 for an alternative CPU, with a 2560 or 2048 CUDA core layout. NVIDIA's PR tour has been in full swing this past week, though, as Jensen's friend Wally Liao of Supermicro faced indictments on allegations and charges from the US government of GPU smuggling. And also, just before Jensen arrived here, the Taiwanese government raided a dozen locations also for allegations of GPU smuggling, and they were seeking fugitives at one point in relation to that story. NVIDIA CEO and man who eats corn dogs the long way, Jensen Huang, also went back to his roots as a Denny's waiter just before GTC, giving out food to everyone. For every restaurant Jensen visited, he was swarmed by press, business partners, security, and paparazzi. And for the inconvenience of packing a restaurant full of business partners, press, and paparazzi, Jensen Huang generously tipped the restaurant staff, I have to do the math really quick, 3/10 of his wealth. It sounds like more than it is. 2,000 Taiwan dollars from what we could see, or about $60 US, establishing Jensen as the big spender of the evening. That's not to mention his generosity of handing a street vendor another $30 US and asking, literally in Chinese, "Goma," which just means, "Is it enough?"
Goma,
A man worth almost $200 billion saying, "I'll buy for everybody." And yes, food is very cheap here. I think there were probably more than $30 worth of people buying food, but it's okay. I mean, he's lost. The man's stepping over $100 bills in the street. He's probably, if we had $10,000 bills, he would step over those too. So, but Jensen had an image to maintain here, treating his gargling gaggle to street food. But as for the news, it really doesn't seem like a coincidence that the Taiwanese government orchestrated a bust of GPU smugglers right as NVIDIA CEO arrived. And right after Jensen scrambled to fly to China with Trump to meet with China's own government officials. Just before Jensen was swarmed by reporters in Taiwan, Taiwanese authorities raided 12 locations and started looking for fugitives accused of smuggling Supermicro's AI servers with NVIDIA GPUs in them to China. After months of denying any evidence of chip smuggling, which GN has itself proven at this point, Jensen came close to admitting its existence.
Well, we're rigorous in explaining to all of our partners all of the world's laws and regulations, and we insist that they're compliant with laws and regulations. Ultimately, Supermicro has to run their own company, just as everybody has to run their own company. And I hope that they will enhance and improve their regulation compliance and avoid that from happening in the future.
But Jensen did have important news. He has continued narrowing down what the fuck it is NVIDIA actually is.
Because we are not dinosaurs. NVIDIA, we're not dinosaurs.
We're not a car. We are not a car.
It's like never have I ever, except for billionaires. Never have I ever been a dinosaur. Never have I ever been a car. Never have I ever been a loser. I am not a loser. We are not a loser. We're not losers.
You're not talking to somebody who woke up a loser. And that loser attitude.
Add to it, never have I ever smuggled GPUs. While on his Taiwan tour as a budding food influencer or foodfluencer, Jensen talked extensively about NVIDIA's investment in Taiwan. At an employee event, Jensen said NVIDIA would spend $150 billion in Taiwan every year.
4 years ago, 5 years ago, NVIDIA was spending about $15 billion a year in Taiwan. Now, we're spending going to $150 billion in Taiwan each year.
And that's not counting the big spender Jensen is for giving these out so recklessly. You gotta be careful, Jensen. You give too many of these out and you'll bankrupt the company. Oh shit, I actually need those. I can't step over those. This is not one sorry, 3 10 billionths of my wealth. This is far greater. This might be like a couple percentage points actually. So I'm just gonna keep those safe. We'll just kind of get back to the news. So $150 billion spend. That's a lot of money. It's like, I don't know, it's like half of the revenue for the year, more or less. But we know Jensen's good for it.
NVIDIA is not going to invest as much as $100 billion in OpenAI.
No,
that's the current run.
we never said we were going to invest $100 billion in one round. That never was said.
As CNBC pointed out, NVIDIA's forecasted spend of $150 billion would far exceed what NVIDIA makes in one quarter. NVIDIA made $81.6 billion in revenue last quarter. NVIDIA has also made other commitments for that revenue, if you can still take their word for commitments. Normally, you might not need to question this, but if you're Sam Altman, you might question it. Jensen also detailed the new NVIDIA campus in Taiwan, known as Constellation, which will be home to about 4,000 employees. NVIDIA said that once the site is up and running, it would be, quote, one of the largest AI research and development hubs, unquote, in the Asia-Pacific region. While all this has been happening, the political backdrop has continued to be about GPU smuggling and the GPU black market. Jensen has repeatedly denied allegations of chip diversion.
And there's no evidence of any AI chip diversion. NVIDIA's chips are not little tiny potato chips. People talk about smuggling, but it's incredibly hard to do. And we chase down every opportunity,
NVIDIA's statements have called smuggling a, quote, non-starter, end quote, or likened smuggling to tall tales. But our own documentary from a year ago continues to be proven correct. Taiwanese officials are, quote, seeking to detain 3 individuals for forging documents to export NVIDIA Corporation AI chips to China, end quote, per GNBFF Bloomberg. Taiwan accused the 3 suspected smugglers of making, quote, fraudulent declarations, end quote, for approximately 50 AI servers manufactured by Supermicro. Several days later, prosecutors arrested 3 individuals involved in the case. Per Tom's Hardware, via Bloomberg, the chip bootleggers planned to ship servers to Japan before exporting them to China. Reporters asked Jensen about the Supermicro smuggling case right when he got to Taiwan, ahead of GTC and Computex.
Ultimately, Supermicro has to run their own company, just as everybody has to run their own company.
At this point, he has repeatedly gotten what he requested.
Every so often somebody says, these GPUs are being smuggled. I really would love to see it.
In March, the U.S. Department of Justice indicted Supermicro co-founder Wally Liao and 2 others for chip smuggling in an elaborate billion-dollar scheme involving decoy servers and hair dryers, something we already detailed in a deep dive video that we'll link below. Jensen was pictured with Wally Liao several days before the U.S. government charged Liao with the crime. Just days ago, before GTC, Supermicro commented on the new raids by Taiwanese police. Quote, we are proud to have worked closely with Taiwanese authorities on the recent event, helping to prevent the illicit diversion of our highly sought-after systems into the restricted China market. Our collaboration with authorities in Taiwan resulted in the arrest of 3 suspects and the seizure of 50 servers that had been deceptively acquired after being sold by Supermicro to an authorized reseller, end quote. Do you want it? I have nothing to hide. Do you want to search my car or house or warehouse filled with dummy servers, hair dryers? Have we moved the dummy servers and the hair dryers? You can search the warehouse if you want to. While the US clears NVIDIA's last generation H200 AI chips for export to China, and while Taiwan arrests people for fraud, China is responding by, this past couple weeks, banning more NVIDIA chips for import into China. We don't want your stinking chips anyway, I guess is where we're at this point, as China tries to bolster its own now growing and in some cases booming chip development industry. According to the Financial Times, the Chinese government has now banned the RTX 5090 DV2, which in our GPU black market smuggling documentary that we published last year, we'll link below, one of the sellers of that series of GPUs called it a castrated version of the card. But even with its BGA balls cut off, the modified version of the 5090 that NVIDIA created for China to comply with the US government's export controls is no longer allowed in China because of China this time. China's bans go beyond the 5090 DV2 ballless GPU FT also reported that China blocked sales for NVIDIA's chips, like the freshly approved H200 and H20, specifically to customers like Alibaba and Tencent. In January, the US government and NVIDIA agreed to a deal that would give the US government a 25% cut from NVIDIA's H200 sales to Chinese customers, which we think is likely why the Chinese government doesn't want to allow the sale. This comes at a time when Dell, a close partner of NVIDIA's and a recent stock purchase of Trump, who bought somewhere between $1 and $5 million of Dell stock, has just been given a nearly $10 billion defense contract. Sometimes when I'm pulling on my bootstraps, I think to myself, if only I knew about the next $10 billion technology defense contract deal, I could make millions of dollars on that company's stock. I don't know why I haven't tried that yet. It just didn't really occur to me. The contract includes a, quote, suite of software to the U.S. military, end quote, and references the, quote, Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability Contract, end quote. Again, the Warfighting Cloud Capability Contract. And Dell is a major customer of both NVIDIA and Microsoft. Microsoft. We do have a Microsoft t-shirt on the store, though, which you can buy to help us do stuff like this. Ship posting, except verbally and on a bridge in Taiwan. Really the big takeaway here for the show is something we've been talking about a little bit, but it's just becoming more obvious. So it's kind of interesting. They did catch me by surprise a little bit a couple of months ago when they started making the push towards this idea of AI agents using PCs. We kind of knew they were reducing their focus on consumer PCs. What was interesting or surprising, though, was this concept of, like, what if we create the people out of thin air to sell the computers to instead? That was not really, I didn't think it would go that direction, but that's really what they're pushing here. I mean, I can't tell you how many times throughout the keynote, which is very long, he said that there will be more AI agents using computers than people using computers, especially if you do the math at 1 billion humans, like Jensen Huang did. He's a little out of touch, but that's it for the news. There wasn't a ton of sort of hard news that's interesting with specs and, just objective information. Certainly not much for consumers. We gave you all the stuff that's interesting. A lot of more concerning movements from NVIDIA, especially on the data center rollout, the sort of political side we've been talking about, and that'll cover it for now for NVIDIA. So subscribe for more. Go to store.gamersnexus.net to support us as always.